What's up, y'all? Welcome back to 3-Star Draw. I'm down south of 77, aka 3-Star Draw. You can call me that. I've been called worse. Anyway, this is an adult collector channel where we like to talk G.I Joe, mainly classified. Every now and then we'll talk about some other stuff that I like as well. And finally, we're able to talk about some classified again. And I don't just mean complaining about the lack thereof. Floodgates have kind of started opening up a little bit. Some of this stuff that's been held up in production and the moving factories is starting to trickle in. Just the other day at Target, I found Darklon, and that was the only one they had. They're so weird on the distribution, but that'll be a whole nother video. Today, Amazon left me a little present. Got a Frag-Viper. He's number 153 in the line, and he's got this weird android head. I've got some feelings on this android head thing, but I gotta say, seeing it in person looks a little bit better, and it does make sense for what they did with the character. So we're gonna get this guy out and take a look at him here in just a minute, and compare him to, I've got the original, I've got my original O-ring over here from when I was a kid, and got some other just Viper guys, some specialized Vipers. We'll take a look at him next to some of those guys as well. So let's see, a lot of people were excited about Frag-Viper. I was not one of them, so let's see if he can change my mind. Number 153 in the line. That's how he comes packed in the box. Over here you got, as usual, this really nice portrait of him. And I like how the red on this grenade stands out. They kind of look like thermal detonators from Star Wars a little bit, I think. And back here on the back, got your artwork for him. Not sure exactly what that's supposed to be right there. I didn't really investigate it too close. Picture of his helmet close up, and then a picture of the weird android head. Of course, you got his G.I launching mechanism thing there. And then over here you got your QR code to nowhere and all of his attributes that would just make it so much easier if they would just write what these are. Give us a key, give us something, because I'm completely uninterested in these without some kind of key. I know it's out there, but shouldn't be that much trouble to find it. This is how he comes packed in. He's got quite a bit of stuff with him. As far as gear wise, I have my doubts as to how this dude is going to stand up, but we're about to find out. So there's how he's packed in the plastic coffin. Of course, we got tape on the guns. Got to have some tape on the guns. I did forget to mention in my Darklon review, there was no tape on Darklon's accessories. So just thought I'd point that out. Got all of his stuff out there. Let's get a little bit more light on the matter here. All right. Check out the backpack first. Got all these little funky grenades in there. Nice sculpt on there. No paint. No other paint apps or anything. Couple antennas up here. That's where the hose is going to plug in. Little pouches over here on the side. What do you think that weighs? That's probably pretty heavy, right? Because see how thick that is. Those are probably double lined at least, maybe triple. So that's going to come into play in a few minutes when we talk about him. I do think they went out of the way to make that that red on the illustration on the box. Grab the box. So this part right here on the box, they went out of their way to make that stand out. They should have made them red on the backpack, on the grenades. The other one that he comes with we're going to look at is red. I think they should have at least done that. That's just my opinion, but I think it would have made this would have set this off quite a bit. Let's look at, does come with these two little SMGs. I believe these are Shockwaves. We've seen them before. I think they're the same ones that come with Shockwave. I do like the little dual SMGs. They're not quite Uzis. little MP7s or something maybe. Not a lot of detail to them, but I mean, they're serviceable. They'll get the job done. This is going to be what this guy goes to when he finally runs all out of grenades, and I can't believe he would live long enough to throw all these grenades. Nice hose. We have not seen this before. It's really flexible, and I have a feeling it's going to really need to be. One large end that ports in, and then your small end here. Can those things travel through this? Okay, I guess they can. You know, look, they went a long way to make us believe some stuff about this guy. You got to make me believe that the little grenades can travel through the hose. I mean, come on. All right, hose goes into this. This is his grenade thrower, launcher, highlight thingy. I get like Wolverine Predator vibes from this thing, so I guess he could try stabbing somebody with it if he had to. Looks like that might be supposed to be a gun on that. It's vented. There's no blast effect or anything, but that looks like some type of a barrel to me. I hadn't noticed that with this guy before. I hadn't watched any reviews on him yet. I don't think. So he's going to clip on his wrist here, hold it here, plug in here. Got a little bit of sculpting on here. I do like this silver. I like this metallic silver that they use. And then you got a couple of pegs here. Not really sure what those are for, if anything. So there's his little grenade thrower launcher thing. And this attaches, okay, now I realize what it's for. You got this gray smoke. And then you do have this really nice looking thermal detonator. I'm just going to call them thermal detonators because I can't unsee it. This trail of smoke coming off of it. Seems like this should be clear, but hey, don't get me wrong. I like that they went through the trouble of painting it. So I just said the backpack needed paint, so let's hope, you know, they continue actually putting paint on stuff when they can. So this is going to port in, hopefully, into these pegs to look like it's at various distances. Boy, that don't want to go in there, does it? Might have to wind up heating that up. Let's see if it'll go in this one up here. Nope, not really. I'm surprised it didn't hit the floor, but the review's not over yet. Probably going to wind up hitting this with some heat and putting it in there. We'll investigate that in just a minute because I want to get on with it. Here's his classic helmet. I do have my original O-ring over here. Did a fantastic job translating this helmet into classified. I don't know what you could possibly want more out of this in a classified version. They even painted the back here, same detail on the helmet on the original, and they went out of their way to paint it and painted these little extra vents, like carbon fiber vents or something, mesh maybe. They did not do the silver over here on the side. However, I don't really think that this needed it. I think it looks fine the way it is. They even filled this in with the same kind of carbon fiber look in the grill there for the breather. So this is probably for ventilation. I have a feeling this is not much of a rebreather or anything like that. So that's how the helmets compare, if you were wondering and somehow haven't seen yet. I dig it. They did a great job bringing this helmet up to date. So yeah, my original Frag-Viper, you can see he's still, other than his O-ring, still pretty tight joints on this guy. I didn't get his accessories out because I'm not even sure if I still have them. Other than his O-ring, like this dude's minty fresh except for that. There's where the backpack peg broke off on this dude, so you can get that out. I just have never bothered to try. Yeah, sit down. All right, got the hose that plugs in over here. Back here. Here. Okay, there we go. It was in there in the package. I thought it was all like connected together, but when I pop the helmet out, the hose come off, so that is two separate pieces. Might as well go ahead and leave that plugged in for now. So let's check this guy out. Feels good. The plastic feels good. You remember some of the earlier guys we would get and they just felt like crappy out of the package. I'm looking at you, Falcon. Check him out. So there's the android head. They made this guy an android to explain how he can carry all of this weight. I thought it was kind of silly, but it does actually fit. It does make sense because this guy didn't really make sense. Like, how in the world can he carry around all of this? So in the classified world, they made him an android. This is his unmasked head. We don't know. This guy could have been an android, so we never saw him unmasked. Look at that. They did a good job with this guy. He looks a little bit like a sentinel to me, like a sentinel face. Eyes look good. Got these red eyes. I guess they're scars here where he's probably the face was put back on. I don't know. Maybe this guy's like the high evolutionary and it's all held on with rivets. Then he's got this balaclava here. Should have grabbed the unmasked range viper or saw viper. All right. Anyway, does have his sash. He's the homecoming queen, Cobra homecoming queen. Nice recreation on the sash, man. I mean, as far as updating figures, this dude so far they've done a great job with. The sash is removable, and they said they could you could take it off to denote, which one's a squad leader. I always thought this figure was really ugly. I did. I hated this brown color on this guy, and the blue just didn't make any sense. But as you can see on the classified, they darkened the brown and they gave him some darker brown highlights here on his chest and on his arms to kind of tie that all together. It looks really good. This figure looks better than this one to me. So over here he's got some kind of wiring kind of device with some red wires going in somewhere. And then over here, same thing on this side. The sash was blocking it. Nice harness here because this has got to be heavy even for an android. Nice buckles on it. Again, nice update for that. They just moved the buckles up to the middle and gave an extra one at the top like a backpack. Some sculpting here on this. Sculpted in pouches, and this is a kind of a pliable plastic. Got a tie-in over here on each side to hold all this up, and then he does have the floating holsters. It almost seems like, at least on this side, they could have connected that, but there's somebody that's going to try and take this off with boiling pop, so I guess that's why they didn't. These things are probably going to fall. So go ahead and get a look at those. He does look really good overall. Going down into these legs on the suit. Is this the same? Trying to see if it's the same as Mole Rat. Hang on, I'm going to grab a Mole Rat. I was just curious to see. And this is not the bottom of the Mole Rats. Entirely different sculpt. Seems like they could have got away with using the Mole Rat lowers on this, but they didn't. It's different. So you just sit over there. You hadn't seen any action for a while. Sit over there, Mole Rat. There, you hang out with the Crimson Viper and Blanca Viper. All right, articulation on this guy. Nope, I'll tell you what. Let's finish looking at his pouches and stuff. Got an armband up here. Hopefully that'll stay in place. Got this forearm guard that's going to be able to come off if you want it to. Down to arms, or his hands rather. Diagonal articulation on the hands, which you want on this guy, I'm sure. A little nice silver plating, or maybe that's a control or something on this wrist. And then back to these holsters. Just a free-floating, like polycarbonate holster or something. Blue knee pads. Got your blue, I thought they were laces, but they don't really look like laces. They look like padding. on the tops of the, or the bottoms of the shin. And going around back, got this nice black. I like this two-tone. Reminds me of Halloween, so they did really do a good job with updating this guy. He looks way better than the original. Alright, so I saw that little bit of sprue or whatever right there. So no problems doing a T-pose, bicep swivel. This plastic feels really good on this guy. No issues there. There's that pauldron already falling. There it is. Alright. Check out knees. No issues on the knees. Nice and ratchety. Of course, you got your thigh swivel, and he does have a boot cut down here. Ankle rockers, bane of my existence. Guy stands pretty well. I don't know how well he's going to stand once we gear him up, but he does stand pretty well out of the package without all of his stuff on. Let's check out his original mask. It's a helmet. I do remember them saying that now. All right. They give a lot of these guys different head sculpts, you know, so they don't make the helmet too wide and bulky. They did a good job with this. It's not too wide and bulky. It's actually less wide and bulky looking than the original. Guy looks pretty wicked, I must say. I am impressed with the way this guy is so far. Let's check out these before we look at the main event with his Hi-Li thermal detonator launcher. So he does have horizontal swivel. So it's one of those things where with these, they don't fit in there just right. If he had vertical swivel on the wrists, you'd be able to angle that up. But I mean, you can compensate for it. It's not that big a deal. It just, you don't hold them straight. The hands actually feel pretty good as far as the plastic on the hands. Some of the plastic on some of the more recent hands has been a little kind of sketchy. It's been real hard. So there, he's got two guns, one for each of you. Get a look at those. Let's see. Backpack goes in and goes in nice. Backpack peg is nice and nice and long peg there. So this thing's going to come around and plug in here. Some of the hoses on these guys don't seem to go in very well on these little hoses. His, you can actually do that with. You can turn it, you know, pretty well. I mean, get all kind of range of motion with this on there. So I do like this hose. You know, they kind of screwed up with Metalhead's, you know, right? Like Metalhead's hose was terrible. So let's check this thing out. I want to put it on his arm. I'm gonna see if we can get this back on here. No, that probably wasn't a very good idea. I was trying to keep from bending these and flexing these. So that goes on there. I think you're going to have to put his fingers around it, and then you're going to have to open that little clamp up anyway. Seems to be the easiest way. I just don't like stressing these clamps when it's a feature like this that you're probably going to be taking on and off a bunch, but it's actually pretty thick plastic. If you can see that, it's actually pretty thick plastic, so that may stay on there well. I mean, you get the impression that he's about to launch this thing. So let's see, this end is going to go in here. This end is going to go in here. Now, I've been saying the whole time looking at this guy, there's no way this guy's going to stand with all of this stuff on. And he stands with all of this stuff on. It does push the backpack, though. That's not really that big of a deal, I don't think, but you could probably actually heat this hose up and maybe fix some of that. But this guy's going to look good on a shelf, I think. Now, I am going to stop here, and I'm going to heat the peg on this up and see how it fits in there. That's just going to be the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to do that and see if we can get that in there. While I heated that up and it goes right in there, this is the bottom of the two pegs I've got it in. It does pop out relatively easy, and see if we can get it to go in the top one without having to reheat. Might already cooled too much. I'm not crazy about that, but it's gonna have to fit in there. It's gonna have to fit in there tight. That's what she said. Man, I just don't want to go in that one. All right, let's take two on that. Well, with a little bit of help of the old Conair hairdryer, not the Airline, it does go in there, but it does not go in this higher up peg nearly as well as it goes in the bottom one. I do feel like it's going to fall out, so you're probably going to want to either use some sticky tack or just stick to using that bottom one. And honestly, it looks a little bit better in the bottom one, I think, than it does here. They really should have put something here on the inside of it. Maybe move the peg on here and made it where this little trail could plug in on the inside of the handle. It's pretty good effect. It looks pretty good. However, even though he's an android and he looks good, this dude is not any less silly than I originally thought he was. But, you know, I also have a guy over here that has a brain helmet too. So there's Frag-Viper. I do like him better than I thought I was going to. I really haven't heard any bad things about this figure from other people that I've seen that have gotten him, other than this up here. This is the main complaint. I think this was Shark Eyes had the first review on this guy, and I think that was one of his things that he didn't like about it. You'll be able to rotate this around, but the hose is gonna pull it back over, so he's always going to look like he's throwing it a little bit to his left, I think. Now you can, like I said, probably heat this hose up, angle this hose, and get some of that out of there. I don't think it'll be that big a deal, or if you, yeah. So he's actually pretty good overall. He's not a bad looking figure, and he actually fits together well. He does stand pretty well with all of this stuff on, which was my main concern, because you're going to want him on the shelf, you know, like he's tossing one of these bad boys. That didn't come out right, did it? So let's see if this guy with a stand up with his floppy O-ring. So there's Frag-Viper. I do like him better than I thought I was going to. He's still not my favorite Viper. You know, I like the Vipers. I like the Cobra Troops. Those were always my jam. He just seems like he was a weird choice to get ahead of, say, Night Viper. I know he's been announced, or Rock Viper, perhaps, because he's way cooler. And we do have Alpine. We have all the Night Force, and we have Alpine, but we got this dude. I've given up on rhyme or reason on how they pick the waves. Most of them been pretty good, though. Not really, can't really bash that. Frag-Viper, what do I think about him? I think he needs to stand right after I just bragged on how well he stands. He's a good figure, man. They updated him really nicely. I'm not crazy about this setup here, but it does establish what this guy is supposed to do, what he's supposed to be. I got to go with the 4 yeehaws on him. He's a good figure, and if you're going to do away with this, and he's got a lot of different looks that you can use for him. So if you say you want to do away with his gimmick thing here, and then just have him as this guy, he still looks pretty menacing, even with this head. I like it better now that I have it in hand. I know I say that a lot with some of the classified stuff, but I thought it was kind of dumb, but it does work for the character. So if you wanted to do that, and then you can remove the sash. So if you get another one of these guys, leave the sash on him, have him be the leader, just like Lenny said. And maybe you can have these guys as just drones. Maybe the leader's the only one that has the highlight thing. Good figure. I do recommend picking him up if you're a Cobra guy, because we don't have anybody else in this color other than like Darklon. Like, see how they're in the same wave and they kind of match? Darklon is a far better figure, but look, separated at birth. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about Frag-Viper. Did you pick him up? Do you think he's better now that you've seen actual people with him in hand? What do you think about him? Do you like this head for him? A lot of people don't, but I think they'll change their mind in person. Not too restricted there. Didn't look at that. Okay. All right. Anyway, that's it, guys. I appreciate you tuning in for it. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments right down there what you guys think about Frag-Viper. I'll have Blowtorch soon, and Footloose. I have no idea if Footloose is the dial tone of this wave. Last thing I thought of that I wanted to check, this guy is made in China. Hecho in China. And he does have a 2023 stamp on the boot, for what that's worth. Darklon's was 2021. See you guys next time on 3 Star Draw.